So you guys know I had to go and chuck on my Cooper Kupp Los Angeles Rams jersey because we're talking about the Fallout show, which of course again does take place in LA if you didn't know or couldn't tell by my jersey. But again, this show was a show that a ton of people were really hyped about but really scared about. Was the Fallout TV show going to be good is the question I think a ton of people had on their mind. I had a lot of hope ever since I heard that Jonathan Nolan was going to be making this show again. He, of course, wrote and produced the Dark Knight movies, Interstellar, as well as a couple other different Christopher Nolan projects, who's, of course, his brother, if you didn't put the pieces to that all together. Again, he is making this Fallout show, or made the Fallout show, that of course has just gotten a ton of extremely positive and good reviews, and I gotta say, holy shit, did this show exceed expectations. I myself had high expectations because, as I said, Nolan was attached to it. I thought it could be very, very good if they had the right pieces coming together, and oh my god, Jonathan Nolan, you can please sit on my face because Jesus Christ, you made an awesome product that I absolutely loved. I thought this show was really, really good. It was very Fallout, which is funny that a Fallout show is very Fallout, but then there's stuff like Halo show, which I haven't seen, but apparently the Halo show is not very Halo, just like how the Uncharted movie was not very Uncharted. Again, Hollywood's had a lot of mistakes with just making video game adaptations into just being complete shit. So this Fallout show, it was a relief that as a massive Fallout fan, it was pretty awesome. There were a ton of really good things in this, which I'll be talking about. As again, I actually haven't said this, but there will be spoilers in this video. So if you haven't seen the show and you would like to watch it, click off this video because you're about to get touched inappropriately by my voice talking about how awesome this show was. And let me get started by, I didn't think they would go this much into Fallout. I knew it was going to be pretty accurate to what Fallout is, or at least I hoped it would. But I didn't think Jonathan Nolan would cook and just dive so much into new lore and new things that we had no idea even existed. And let's start off by talking about my first example, the vaults. I did not think they would go this deep into the vaults. I thought 90% of the show would take place out of the vault. I thought the first season would be like entirely about the vault, Vault 33, and then it would just be, I don't know, Lucy going and having a circle jerk with a feral ghoul and a death claw. But no, Jonathan Nolan had to cook, and there was this whole side arc which led into another side arc of just vaults. Again, there was Vault 33 was the big starting off point that we were all like, yeah, this is cool, there's just people in here, there might be a deeper mystery, but whatever, right? Then it went to Vault 32. What happened to all these people in Vault 32? Did the Raiders kill them? No, because we found out they died previously before that. So what happened, right? Then if you thought, well, that's pretty basic, hold on, Jonathan Nolan cooked even more by introducing a third vault, which housed people 200 years ago before the bombs dropped. These people from Vault-Tec deliberately placed themselves in there so they could be born 200 plus years later, or be taken out, out of the vault, out of their pods, to experience what they, of course, had, you know, what they had built, what they had done, if it was a successful mission like they, of course, thought it would be. And where it gets even crazier was, there's this whole other arc of Walton Goggins where you think it's just an arc of him 200 years before the bombs drop, of him and his wife and his kid enjoying life, right? Well, no, they had to go and cook with that too, revealing that his wife was a massive, I think, voice in how the vaults would end up being constructed and how they would be presented. As it was revealed pretty early on, she worked for them, But we didn't know that by the end of it, she would be one of the people who suggested the idea that if shit breaks loose and civilization does pretty much rebuild outside the vaults, then they can go and destroy them, which is what we know Lucy's dad did end up doing when he became overseer, right? Like, they didn't have to cook that far. And the cliffhanger of her and the daughter potentially being alive 200 years later, being kept in those pods, is insane, right? And now we got David Goggins, who plays the Ghoul. He is now going to want to seek, I think, not only revenge and help Lucy potentially hunt down her dad, who was literally fled to New Vegas, which is awesome. But he wants to get him because he wants to know, where is his wife? Is she still alive? Which was the massive cliffhanger, which was the massive shock, at the end, that his wife and child were in a pod just like the Fallout 4 pod and were being kept 200 years later alive. That is insane. No one had to cook that far with this in-depth Fallout Vault story, but they had to, right? They did. And we got to see a massive different side of the Brotherhood of Steel, which was much more Fallout 3 Brotherhood of Steel to me, with how the scribes dressed and how the leaders of the faction, like the scribes, were bold with big beards, right? That just reminded me so much of Fallout 3, and I absolutely loved it. Of course, this show, it dived into that lore really, really well. It explored all these vaults. It had the low-key comedic tone that the Fallout games have, and they did that so well in this TV show. They also did a ton of other really good things, like the vault, the power armor suits, how they looked were really cool. Again, they were very clunky looking, and maybe they were a bit too tall. I don't remember the power armors being that tall. Again, in Fallout 3, they were literally just a suit. Like, that's how they kind of looked. Then in Fallout 4, they were a big armor, but they made the person look more wide than tall. In this show, they decided to make people look hella tall with them. I didn't particularly like that, but I thought the costumes still looked really cool in terms of that, and it just looked very, very Fallout. Again, the reality is, this show is that successful and that good now, we are getting a Season 2. I will probably be making a separate video on how Season 2 has, secretly been confirmed. Again, stay tuned for that if I ever do decide to make that, which probably will. But also, we're getting a Season 2 now with New Vegas, and it's 20 years after New Vegas or something, 15, 20 years after New Vegas. So that's awesome. We get to see what happened with the lore in New Vegas, what faction won over there. That's just absolutely awesome. Again, what would I give this show out of 10? I'd probably go a 9 so far. I think they cooked with this show. Again, there were tiny things where I was like, yeah, I don't really like that. Again, the feral ghouls were a bit weird to me. They looked un-feral ghoul-like. They looked very zombie-like, a lot of the feral ghouls and a lot of the ghouls in general. I didn't like that. Also, again, I'm a massive Fallout fan, and I don't really remember feral ghouls having to, take something to stay normal ghouls having to take something to keep them from being feral. Is that something new? Was that in one of the Fallout games that I just don't remember? Because it definitely wasn't in 4. And I'm 99.9% sure it wasn't in 3. Definitely wasn't in 76. What am I missing there? I think that's something new, which I don't know if I really like. But if it's in something, please let me know down below, because I might be tripping out here. But yeah, this show cooked. 9 out of 10. One of the best shows I've seen probably since The Last of Us show, which I highly enjoyed. I usually don't like TV shows that much, which you guys are probably very aware of. I'm much more of a movie buff man. Again, TV is not particularly my thing, but I thought the Fallout show was absolutely extraordinary, and it goes up there now in my favorite tiers of show of 2.5 Men, The Last of Us show, The Mandalorian, the Lethal Weapon TV show, which if you haven't seen, you should. Bates Motel is awesome. a ton of terrific shows. It now goes up there as one of my all-time favorite that I have now seen. But of course, if you haven't already, please make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. Comment your thoughts and opinions down below. Did you guys like this Fallout show, or did you guys not? I'd very much like to hear all your thoughts and opinions down below. Don't forget to subscribe to my IRL/vlog channel and my gaming channels, which is this one, sorry, and my sports channel. Links for them will be in the description down below. But as I was saying, please make sure to leave a like, subscribe, and comment, and I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.